Hello, this is another episode video on some basics of American Flyer model railroading. Today we're going to talk about the caboose. A caboose is really sort of a mundane subject. It's a red car usually follows the main train. However, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you a little history of the caboose, how it came about, and then a little bit about American Flyer caboose, and finally, how I'm going to actually liven it up a little bit for you folks who are running the cabooses around the railways. So, the original term of a caboose came from a nautical term. The nautical term basically says it's a house on a deck, house on deck. And the house on deck is where they actually do the cooking. And with this train, it became more and more sophisticated in terms now they actually have a full shell that's dedicated as a train and not just a cabin on top of a flat car. The caboose has the walkway, the cupola, which is the top here, and especially like a watchtower for the conductor or the watchman to watch the rest of the train in front to make sure there's no problems. And some of the problems could be, the axles could be overheating, or if they're pulling a load, like flat cars with a load or box cars with heavy loads in it, there could be, there's just turns and cronies, and what happens is that it could be a load shifting. If that happens, the conductor would have to contact the engineer to slow down or stop to take care of the problem. In addition, this is providing shelter for the crew. The crew is usually the conductor, a flagman, and a brakeman. And inside the caboose, there's a cooking facilities. Of course, they have to eat too. So, and here you have your chimney right here. The chimney is for the stove. So that's it. And there's a platform, front and rear, couplers, and that's the function of the of this caboose. So again, the cupola, I think I pronounced that correctly. This top tower here is basically an observation platform for the entire train in front of it. So with American Flyer trains, most of them are pretty basic, not much action to it. It is to scale, has the correct number of rivets as the real cabooses. American Flyer is very good at that. Everything is done exactly to the scale. If there's 1,000 rivets in a car in real life, American Flyer makes sure there's the same 1,000 rivets on the model. So that's good. It looks real. However, this particular one, as with most of the earlier models, there is no other additional amenities. There's no light, there's no windows, just basically a shell on top of 8 wheels with couplers and a simulated chimney. Later models, when it became more advanced and upgraded, it had a light. It had some, simulated glacier, shades inside, and it also has an interior light. And I will show you exactly what it looks like on the inside. So, but that's really about it. It's nothing else. Much later, in the American Flyer lines, years later, they did something that's kind of interesting. They made an operating caboose. For example, they actually added a conductor or flagman to the end of the car that actually pops out. When the car stops, this guy pops out and waves to the engineer. When the train starts moving again, he goes back in. So, but this is more expensive sets, and it's not as popular because back then, money was still an issue, as it is today. So these are not cheap. But I will stay with the more common ones, which is the red cabooses, and I will show you what we could do for a nominal amount of money, very economically, we can make it a little bit more interesting, at least in terms of lighting. So stay tuned. I will continue with this. Okay, what we are going to do today, we're going to add some red LED marker lights to the rear of the caboose. Of course, American Flyer, AC Gilbert never made a caboose with rear marker lights. But we could easily do this. This is a very simple operation, very simple procedure, and it's very economical. Doesn't cost much. What we need is a soldering gun, a solder, 2 LED lights. These are relatively inexpensive, a few dollars. You can buy these online. The size of these are 3 millimeters, and it has a pre-wire resistor, so you don't have to worry about adding resistors to it because it's already pre-wired. And these will function with the alternating current of the caboose. However, you need to obtain a caboose that already has an interior light. That will make life a lot easier because the power source is already intact. And in fact, if you don't have one of these, but you have, say, just a plain caboose, you could pick up from a parts store or at a show and get parts. If you can find a chassis with this opening, which houses the socket, these are relatively inexpensive. It shows you have parts. And then the light socket, these are parts too. You can buy this online too for a few dollars. So that's it. I mean, you could, take the whole chassis off on this one, take these off, and insert a new chassis. But since we have one already, I'm going to show you how this will work. There are basically 4 pins on each corner holding the chassis to the shell. Easy fix. Take your pliers and just pull the pins out. I don't know if you see this or not. There you go. That's the pin. Okay, the pins are out. And just carefully remove the chassis from the shell. Inside the shell, you will see a piece of paper. It's actually a diffuser. What it does is that it spreads out the light evenly throughout the car. If you don't have the diffuser, all you see is a bright light bulb, and it's not so realistic. You put this back in, it diffuses the light, and it's even throughout the entire interior of the car. However, for the LED lights, these LED lights, we don't need a diffuser. We'll go to the next step. Put these aside, save these, we can put these back in later. The shell already has some plastic in here. It simulates the glazier of the windows, the glass windows. The power pickup is from the metal wheels on these trucks. That's metal, this is plastic, this is plastic. And on the opposite side, you have a metal, and then plastic. So in them two trucks, the metal wheels have to be opposite of each other for the positive and negative pickups. And of course, the light interior, the positive and negative, one goes to the one truck and the other one goes to the opposite truck. Get the big light bulb and take care of the interior light. Okay, the placement of the LED lights. We need to drill 2 holes in the proper position. I say this is the front of the caboose and it's the rear of the caboose. And most people say, well, it makes no difference. I think it does make a difference. You have a chimney here, a smoke chimney here. So if you're cooking and smoke comes out of here, you want the smoke to dissipate to the rear of the caboose. But let's say this is the front. If I turn it around and the train's going this way, smoke comes out, it may go back into the windows and gets back into the interior of the caboose. So I just say this is always the rear of the caboose because the chimney's in the rear, so the smoke is blown away from the caboose. So, given that this is the rear, I would drill 2 holes for these LED lights. Alright? These are 3mm in size in terms of metric system. You can buy these online. They're very inexpensive. Pre-wire with the resistor, the proper resistor. All you have to do is drill 2 holes here, one here, and then the next one equal distance on the opposite side. I will do that to demonstrate. The drilling hole is kind of important in terms of size. I've determined these are already pre-made, as I said before, it's 3mm in size, and the hole should be slightly smaller than the 3mm to make it a snug fit. I usually take 2 drill bits, one small and one larger. I will start with the smaller one first. Usually this is a let's see, this is a 564. This is a 564 drill bit. The reason I started with a smaller drill bit is because of the plastic that's in the shell. If you take a big drill bit, you may splinter the plastic on the shell. So I start with a smaller one. It decreases the chance of it splintering. If it splinters very minute, so 1, 2. So I start with the 564 drill bit, smaller. When that's done, I go to the next size, which is the proper size, very close to the size of the 3mm. This one is a 1/8 inch. You have to excuse me. This is the SAE measuring system, and when they made these LEDs, it was in a metric system. You know, I don't know why they just couldn't stay with one system, but you have one metric, as I say. But anyway, the SAE on the drill bit is the 1/8, and then after you use the 564, you go to the 1/8 and just widen the hole. And this way, you eliminate the chance of splintering the plastic. That's kind of important because you don't want to ruin the plastic. If you ruin the plastic, then now you have to go find another shell somewhere else. And this is a perfectly good shell, and you don't want to ruin it. In fact, this is a very good condition. It's the mid-1950s. This shell is like about 60-something years old, and looks pretty pristine to me. No breaks, no cracks, no scratches. So it's a good one. Okay, first drill bit, the smaller one, the 564. You pick a spot, usually equal distance, right around the rear. There's a rear window on the door. It's a door here, actually. So this is, you drill one hole, equal distance to the other. You can measure it, that'd be fine, and then place a point on it. But I usually do by eye now. I've done a lot of these, so I'm pretty good at just eyeballing it. This is the first hole. I don't know if you can actually see this here, but it's right here. So on to the second one. Okay, this is the 1/8 drill bit. I have two holes, pre-drilled two holes with the 564. Now I'm going to do the 1/8. Okay, so now we have two holes here. One here and one here. Maybe see if you can see it. One here. Take a round file, a small round file, to clean off the burrs. The hose looks like it's in good shape, no splintering, just some burrs. Burrs like just the excess that sticks out, and you can just sort of file them off. This will go on the inside, but just to show, for demonstration purposes, I want to show you that it actually fits the hole pretty snugly. So I'm just going to put it in the front, just to show, for demonstration purposes only. This is not the way it's going to end up. It's going to go from the inside out, but I'm going to do it from the outside in, just to show you that it does fit. There you go. It does fit quite well. Okay, before we go any further, I'm going to test this light bulb, make sure the connections are good. So what I'm going to do is, I have my little transformer on my left. You can't see my transformers on the other side, but it's hooked up to alligator clips. So since the power is transmitted through the axles and the wheels, I'm going to attach one alligator clip to one side, one truck here, and then the opposite alligator onto the opposite truck. That's my power source, just to test this out. So I'm going to turn on the transformer and the light bulb should come on. And it does light up. So we know the connections are good, the truck is good, and there's no interruption in the electrical power source. I'll remove this, don't need this anymore. Next step is to attach the LED lights to the truck on top here. What I've done is that with the two LED lights, I took two the red strips, I taped it together because that's going to go on one truck, and the black wires, I taped that together, and it's going to go on the opposite truck. So we're going to solder this on to each side. Okay, I soldered one in, and here's the last terminal to be soldered. Be sure, once the solder is on, be sure it is absolutely cooled off before move the wire, because if it's still warm, chances are the wire could come off. The solder won't hold the wire. So it looks pretty good. What I use is basically it's a lead rosin core, 40-60% lead rosin core electrical solder. Okay, let's test out the lights. Again, same deal. One alligator clip to one truck, second alligator clip to the second truck. Turn the power on. Hopefully it works. And it does. Look at that. Okay. We're almost done. Now, the next part is to insert these LED lights into the pre-drill holes in the rear of the caboose. And what I usually do to prevent them from falling out, you don't want these to fall out while the train's running, and then you got to undo the chassis from the shell, which could be a little bit of a nuisance. So I add a touch of glue. It could be any of the epoxy glue or whatever glue you have. Just a touch, just enough so it holds it in place. You don't need a lot. Okay, just going to test out to make sure it fits well. I'm going to insert the LED lights into the hole to make sure it fits. And it does. So what I'm going to do is going to add a touch of glue . Get some glue here. Take a toothpick. Only needs a small dab. Make sure you don't get it onto the shell. Once you get the glue on the shell, there's no way to get it off. Doesn't require much, just a dab. This one needs a little bit more. Okay, I'm just going to hold this in place and let it set. Today is actually a good day to have an indoor project like this today. It's pretty cold outside here. In fact, we have a deep freeze coming. Right now it's about 12 degrees above zero, and with the wind chill tonight, it's going down to a minus 10 degrees. Pretty cold. But someone told me that I'm actually in a warm climate. This is central New Jersey. But 6 hours or 8 hours above me to the north is New Hampshire and Mount Washington. The temperature now is minus 32 degrees. Pretty cold. But with the wind chill, I think it's like 20 mile per hour, 30 mile per hour wind chill, it'll go down to a minus 90 degrees. Minus 90 degrees. So it makes me feel a little better here. With a minus 12 degrees or 10 degrees here, it's like a heat wave. All right, you guys down in the south somewhere, you may say, well, yeah, oh yeah, that's pretty cold. But up north, a friend of mine out in Iowa, he's used to this stuff, so it's okay. But my other friends, down in the southern part of the country, it's pretty cold for them. It's a matter of acclimation. If you get acclimated to a certain climate and then there's a sudden change in the climate, you'll feel the big difference. It's like when I was deployed overseas into the desert, the daytime can be 100-something degrees. At night, it goes down to like, let's say 125 degrees during the day. It goes down to, say, 90 degrees at night. It's like a deep freeze. It's how you get acclimated to the situation. Or another situation where I was in South America. I was in the jungle. It could be 100 degrees of humidity. It's always hot as hell. And then we had a mission up into the Andes Mountains, which is like 15,000 feet to 16,000 feet above sea level and higher. And it was like in minus degree weather too. So that was a big difference. Oh, that is huge. But the natives up in the mountains, to them it was they're so acclimated to it, it's no big deal. And likewise down in the jungle, the natives down there, they're used to that heat, and it's no big deal for them either. So it doesn't matter how you get used to a climate. So anyway, back to my point is, it's a good day to have an indoor project today, and I hope you guys will like this. Give it a few more minutes, and then I'm going to put this back in place. Don't forget to put the diffuser back in. So give it a few minutes and we'll come right back. Okay, so the diffuser's back in place. Looks like the LED lights are holding up quite well. And I'm going to put the chassis back in onto the shell. We have our 4 pins. It basically presses back into place. That's one. That's the second one. Just slip it right into the hole. It fits in very snugly. Take the tip and press. The LED lights will last a long time. You don't have to worry about it burning out. These are pretty durable, and doesn't take up much track power either. Not like the regular light bulbs. So that's a good thing. So you can run more electrical stuff on your tracks with these LEDs. You know the old story with the regular light bulbs. You have to figure out the wattage and the wattage, how many watts is on the track, and then you have to match up to the correct transformer. You know, but I usually use a 300 watt transformer, but you know, you could use 100 watt. It should be more than sufficient, or less, for something like this. If you saw my other video, I have searchlight cars. I like at least a dozen searchlight cars. That took up a lot of voltage from the track, so I needed a 300 watt transformer. You'll find that particular video on my YouTube channel with the searchlight cars. It's run by a double header switchers. And here, just needs a little more here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's give it a final test. Let's see what it looks like. Look at that. I'm going to shut this light so you can see better. Isn't that great? Now you can brag to your friends, say, hey, look at my caboose. Not your caboose literally, but you know what I mean. The car caboose. You know, if you run this caboose with your other operating, if you have some passenger cars or you know, any cars with lights, the locomotive with lights, run it with the room light off. You'd be surprised how well and how great it looks. Most of the time, people just run their locomotives in a lighted room, and it's hard to see sometimes. But if you turn the lights off, you know, just for a while, and look at pretend it's a night run. All right, the trains do a night run. Well, there you have it. Today's project, easy, inexpensive. There's no need for you to go and buy an LED caboose that costs you maybe $30 or $40. This would have cost you maybe some time, a little bit of time, and the cost of the LED lights, and maybe a little bit of the solder. And it's also fun. You know, I think half the fun is not just running your locomotives on the railways, but actually making something like this or repairs. So I think you'll enjoy this. And if you like what you saw today on my video, subscribe to my channel. I'll try and improve on it and do other things with it. And give me a like if you actually like it. So I think it's a good thing. So today, I saved you some money, gave you a lot of fun, and you learned something today. So have a great train day. Keep those trains running. Okay, take care. Bye.